David Stuurman was born near the Gumtoos River in the Eastern Cape in circa 1773. He was a Khoi chief and political activist who fought against Dutch and British colonial administration. His active career as Khoi leader spanned 20 years in the three Xhosa Wars which fell within this period. David Stuurman was a leader of the Khoi people, who fought against Dutch and British colonial rule in the Eastern Cape. Stuurmans became involved in political activism during the 18th century when both the Khoi and San people were systematically dispossessed of their lands on ordinance by the colonists. This meant that Stuurman and other indigenous people were forced to live and work on their land as laborers. As a teenager, Stuurman went out to work on the farm of the Weermark family, who owned a farm at Gumtoos. Among numerous incidents reported by the Bethelsdorp missionaries concerning the mistreatment of the Khoi and San at the hands of the colonialists, is a report on the poor treatment and physical abuse Hannes Weermark meted out to Stuurman. The missionaries' report details how Stuurman was tied to a wagon and beaten with a sajambok. After the beating, salt was rubbed into his wounds and he was left tied to the wagon in the blistering sun. During the 1790s, when the second of the Xhosa Wars broke out, Stuurman, his brother Klaas, the chief, and their family abandoned Weermark's farm along with several other Khoi in the region. The Khoi joined forces with the Xhosa tribes and refused to return to the farm lands. Thus they were labeled the rebel captains. They refused to return to the farms they were indentured on, and many went to live at the Bethelsdorp mission station, near Algoar Bay. In August 1802, in an effort to regain Khoi independence, Stuurman led 700 men and 300 horsemen with 150 firearms against Uniondale Field Cornet. In an effort to establish peace after the skirmish, Governor Francis Dundas granted land to Stuurman and his men. In 1806, Klaas Stuurman died during a buffalo hunting expedition and David succeeded him as the chief. David was suspected, even by some Khoi, to be behind his brother's death. After Klaas's death, the Uitenhage magistrate, Jacob Kuyler, rescinded the land grant and unrest flared up again. After his brother's death, Stuurman offered refuge to escaped slaves and other fugitives. They refused to appear before General Jacob Kuyler about the matter of the fugitives, and as a result, the authorities bore down on their settlement. Many of the Khoi were bound into service, their livestock and land confiscated, and David and 3 others were imprisoned in Cape Town in early 1809. On the 11th of September, David Stuurman was officially charged and sent to Robben Island. He was among the first political prisoners to be jailed on the island. His crime was cited as disobedience to the field cornet. By December, Stuurman and others had escaped Robben Island using whaling boats to reach the mainland. Most of them were recaptured, but Stuurman made his way back to the Eastern Cape. He remained uncaptured until the Fifth Xhosa War, when he was captured again and put to hard labor on Robben Island. On the 9th of August 1820, Stuurman escaped from Robben Island again, this time during a prison mutiny orchestrated by Johann Smit, Hans Trompeter and Abraham Leenduth. Stuurman was captured when he reached the mainland and tried for his crimes. Especially as a 2-time escapee from Robben Island, he was sentenced to life imprisonment on the penal settlement at New South Wales. On the 16th of December 1820 he was sent, for the 3rd time, to Robben Island and chained to a wall until the transportation order could be carried out. In April 1823, the convict ship Brampton reached Sydney with Stuurman and 11 other South Africans, including another Khoi, Jantji Peet, on board. After 6 years in government service, working at military barracks, Stuurman obtained a ticket of leave which allowed him to work for wages. His wife drew up a petition to Queen Victoria for his release, but nothing came of it. On the 22nd of February 1830, David Stuurman died and was buried in the Roman Catholic section of Devonshire Street Cemetery. This cemetery was later resumed for Central Railway Station. It is likely that his remains were relocated to Bunnerong Cemetery, which is now part of Botany Cemetery, though this is unclear. In 2015, a statue was erected at the National Heritage Monument in Pretoria in honor of Stuurman's memory. During the same year, protesters called for the removal of 112-year-old statue of Queen Victoria which stands outside the Port Elizabeth Library and replace it with a statue of David Stuurman. Plans by the National Heritage Council to repatriate the human remains of David Stuurman from Sydney were anticipated to be realized in April 2014. As a part of the events to commemorate and celebrate 20 years of democracy in South Africa, his remains could not be repatriated because a train statue